Hello students and welcome to the English class. Today we are going to begin with the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. The title Tiger in the Zoo, I think it arouses some kind of curiosity though we have been seeing these animals in the zoo as they are kept there for our entertainment. But I want you to relate today's time when we all are confined to our houses because of the lockdown. You all are restless to go out, meet your friends, hang out with them, and all. But still, here one difference is there. It's our will to remain in the houses because we are fighting with the dreadful disease corona and nobody is compelling us. And if we go out and meet people, I think you all know the consequences of that. But, dear students, here in the poem, the tiger does not have any will to stay in the zoo. Instead, he has been compelled to stay in the zoo to just entertain the human beings. So, in this poem, the pitiable condition of the tiger in the zoo has been highlighted by the poet. Now, the name of the poet is Leslie Norris. Let's know something about the poet. George Leslie Norris was a prize winning Welsh poet and short story writer. He is considered as most important Welsh writers of the post-war period and his literary works have won many prizes. His famous works are Finding Gold, The Loud Winter, Phoenix Living Poet series, Ransoms, etc. Now, here Welsh means a town in Louisiana in US. Okay, now before proceeding to the poetry, I will give you an introduction of the poem. The poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. The poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo, means the poet has described in the first stanza about the tiger in the zoo. Then in the next two stanzas, the poet has described how the condition of the tiger should be when he is in the jungle. And then next again in the last two stanzas, he has described the condition of the tiger in the zoo. Okay. The poet wants to depict the difference between the two environments. Now, let's read the poem. He stalks in his vivid strips the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. Now, firstly, let's see the meanings of the words given here. Stalks means follows. Vivid means bright colors, vibrant colors. Pads here means the paws of the tiger. And rage means extreme anger, uncontrollable anger. Now, let's see the line by line explanation of this stanza. What does the poet say actually? First of all, he in the first line refers to the tiger. The tiger follows people or somebody in his brightly colored skin, that is orange and black color strips. The few steps of his cage means he can take only few steps of the cage as the area of the cage is very limited. Then on pads of velvet quiet. Now here velvet is a fabric which is very soft and smooth. So here poet compares the surface of paws of tiger with soft velvet and says that when the tiger walks then there is no sound as the paws of the tiger are soft like velvet. Then in his quiet rage. Now here he says that the tiger walks in his quiet rage. Now quiet means silent and rage means extreme anger. So two opposite terms are related here. Okay. So now here how can rage be quiet? It is because the tiger is not able to express his anger and walks quietly in the limited area of the cage. So overall, the poet describes the appearance of the tiger in the zoo and its daily movements. He says that the tiger moves up and down of his cage. The strips on its body can be distinguished even seen from far as they are darker in color than the rest of its coat. The tiger walks quietly without making a sound because of his smooth velvet pads. The tiger is able to walk only few steps because of the length of its cage. It covers the distance in a few mere steps only, and the tiger is full of anger, but it is suppressed because he knows that he is helpless here. Okay, now let's see the literary devices used in this stanza. The Now the first one is rhyme scheme, and the rhyme scheme of this stanza is ABCB. I hope you know how to find the rhyme scheme. Now here next is personification. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. Okay, the poet could have used it instead of he as a pronoun for animals, but he has used he to personify him as a human being. Then metaphor, tiger's paws are compared with velvet. Okay, and so that is an example of metaphor. Enjambment, the sentence is continuing to next line without punctuation mark. Then imagery, the poet tries to create an image about the tiger. Okay, and through these lines he stalks in his vivid strips the few steps of his cage. So an image is created. Okay, a visualization is made here. Next is consonance, use of S sounds, stalks his strips. So here stalks S, strips S, so that is repeated. Then assonance, the use of vowel sound I, for example, in his vivid strips. So here the vowel sound I is repeated, vivid EE and strips E. Then oxymoron, now use of adjectives opposite in meaning. As I told, quiet and rage, they are opposite in meaning and they are related. So this is an example of oxymoron. Now let's read the next stanza and try to understand it. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass. Now here lurking means remaining hidden so as to wait in ambush or to fight or to hunt for the prey. Near the water hole where the plump deer pass. Now here plump means fat. Okay. Now let's see the line by line explanation. Now here poet says that the tiger who is kept in zoo should be lurking in shadow, means he should be hiding somewhere in the shadow in the jungle for the prey. Okay, and then he should slide through long grasses, okay, and find its prey, and he should somewhere reach the water hole which is in the jungle so that he could find the fat deers there and he could get its prey. Overall, here in this stanza, the poet is filled with pity while looking at the imprisoned tiger. Okay, the poet imagines another life for the tiger other than the zoo. He says that the poor tiger should have been in his natural habitat, that is, in the wild forest. He says that under normal conditions, this tiger would have been moving in the darkness and not in the clear daylights. It would have been lying in the shadows of the tree or hiding itself behind long grass so that its prey will not be able to detect its movement. In this way, the tiger would have moved near the water hole where all the animals of the forest come to drink on sunny afternoons. There, near the water hole, he would be waiting for someone, a fat deer, for example, to pass that way because deers are a tiger's favorite prey. Thus, he would be lying there in expectation of a heavy feast. Okay, now let's see the literary devices of this stanza. Rhyme scheme for this stanza is again similar as the first one, A, B, C, B. And next is enjambment, that is line continues to the next line without punctuation marks. So this is an example of enjambment. The next is alliteration. Since use of sound P at the start of the two words plump pass is done, so that's why that is an example of alliteration. Next is imagery. The poet has tried to create an image of tiger's activity like lurking in shadow. So this is an example of imagery. Now let's begin with the next stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. Now let's see the meanings of some new words in this stanza. Snarling means making an angry sound. Baring means exposing, uncovering. Fangs means a large sharp tooth. Okay, that is especially a canine tooth of the tiger. And then terrorizing means to make people afraid of. So let's see the line by line explanation. He should be snarling around houses. Means the poet says that the tiger should move around the houses near the jungle and make snarling sound, warning sound. Okay, loudly he should make sound. At the jungle's edge, okay, means near the jungle he should make the sounds. Baring his white fangs, his claw, means he should warn people that he is coming and he should show his white teeth and his claws. Thus, terrorizing the village means thus he should terrorize the villagers, he should make them feel afraid of him. Overall, the poet says that even though he would prefer the tiger to live in the wild, it is not as if it would lose all touch with human civilization. He imagines what the tiger will do in case he failed to find any prey in his natural habitat. He says that the tiger would be growling at the edge of the jungle near some village. He would be showing his white fangs and claws while moving here and there with the intention of scaring all the inhabitants of that village. He would thus become a cause of terror for the villagers. The poet here gives a hint that if we destroy the natural habitat of tigers, then they will be forced to turn to our towns and villages to find their food. Now let's see the literary devices for this stanza. Rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. Then enjambment means the line continues to the next line. So this is an example of enjambment. Then onomatopoeia means using the words which denote sound. Now here the word snarling is used by the poet which denotes certain sound. Okay, so that is an example of onomatopoeia. Then next literary device is assonance. Use of vowel sound O and I, okay, should around houses. So here O is used, okay, and then bearing his white his. So here the use of vowel sound I is done in all these words. So this is an example of assonance. The next is consonance. Consonance is an example of figure of speech where the use of consonant sounds are made, okay, like here in this S is used in the word his, fangs, his, claws. So this is an example of consonance. Let's move to the next stanza. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Okay. Now let's see the meanings firstly. Here the concrete word means a mixture of broken stones, sand, cement and water. Okay. And now let's see the first line by line explanation. But he is locked in concrete cell. Okay. So now the tiger is locked in a concrete cell means the cage, and the cage is made by concrete. His strength behind bars. Okay. Now he is locked in the cage. He is unable to show his strength because his strength has been locked behind the bars of the cage. Stalking the length of his cage means he just stalks, follows in the limited area of his cage, and during this, the last line says ignoring visitors means when he stalks the length of his cage, he ignores all the visitors during this time. So overall in this stanza, the poet has again showed the pitiful condition of the tiger in the zoo. The poet stops imagining the tiger's alternate life, that is in the wild forest, and returns to its real one, and the real one is in the zoo. The poet sees the tiger caged in a small concrete cell in the zoo like a prisoner in the jail. In spite of all his strength, it now lies imprisoned behind the bars. The tiger pays no attention to the visitors who come to see him every day at the zoo. Instead of this, the tiger very slowly and silently moves up and down along the length of the cage without any disturbance in the form of human intervention. Now let's see the literary devices for this stanza. Rhyme scheme A, B, C, B. Okay. Then personification. Tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. Okay, this we have seen earlier also. Next is assonance, the use of vowel sound E in the words he logged concrete cell. Then next is consonance, use of the consonant sound S in the words his strength bars. Next, the last one is alliteration, the use of sound B at the start of two words like behind bars. So b. So this is a repetition of the sound B. Now let's read and understand the final stanza. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Now let's see the meanings. Here the word patrolling means keeping watch over an area by regularly walking or traveling around. Okay. Now let's understand the line by line explanation of this stanza. He hears the last voice at night. Here the poet says that the tiger who is locked in the zoo just keeps on hearing the last voice at night. The patrolling cars, and the last voice at night is of the patrolling cars. And stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars means he does not sleep, okay, during night, but instead he stares the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes. By this we come to know that he is not happy, he is depressed, and just stares the stars with some hope of being free and enjoy his actual life. Okay. So overall in this stanza, the poet describes about the daily routine of the tiger. Okay, that is in the zoo. The tiger does not rest during the day because of the visitors. They keep on coming to see him. Then, even at night, it stays awake till the very last voice of the zookeeper locking up and going home can be heard. Then after that also, it does not go to sleep. All night it remains disturbed due to the voice of the patrolling cars. He keeps staring at the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes. Okay, in the hope that he could get some freedom and he could go back to his own life. So perhaps he is asking heaven why he has been imprisoned here. Okay, and he want that somebody should make him free and let him go to back to his own free life, that is in the wild forest. So let's understand the literary devices used in this stanza. Rhyme scheme is again A, B, C, B. Enjambment is used here again. That means line 3 continues to line 4 without any punctuation marks. Then alliteration, use of sound H in the starting of the two words he hears. Okay, so her, H sound is repeated. Then assonance, use of I sound. For example, in the word with his brilliant. So here the repetition, the use of sound I is an example of assonance. Now let's see the conclusion of this poem. In this poem, the poet is conveying a very important message, okay, that the wild animals should be in their natural habitat. Okay, they should not be kept caged somewhere and restricted from their freedom, but they should be allowed to go in their real life, that is in the wild forest. I hope you have understood. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any queries, please feel free to ask in the comment section. Thank you.